I heard what was being said by the lady from Equal Education. She said that she was not clear as to whether learners were being fed or not. The truth is that provinces have opened the school nutrition program and that feeding is taking place. Some provinces have issued media statements in this regard to confirm that school feeding is taking place, although schools are not back in full operation yet. But the commitment is there, and those learners that are in those provinces where the school nutrition is already opened, they are benefiting from the meals. We also need to take into account the fact that there are certain provinces where there's a high prevalence of the COVID-19 infections, and in those provinces, they are taking care to make sure that the feeding does not contribute to an increase in the infection rate. So we must not speak as though things are equal and that everything is fine. The department is refusing to feed. That's completely incorrect. An impression must also not be created that the department does not care. It is not correct. In June last year or May last year, we opened the school nutrition program even during the lockdown. We said learners could go to the nearest school, not necessarily where they are enrolled, but any school near them, to go collect the meals. The attendance was very low. We made available buses, transport to take the kids to those schools. The attendance was still very low. So it must not be assumed that when you say feeding is now open, people will simply go there and get their meals. It's in our interest as well to make sure that the food is consumed, because it does not make sense that the department could order food, keep it in storage to rot, and not be used by the beneficiaries. That does not make sense.
Elijah, if I can come in there. She's been able to quote pupils who say the last meal they've received was on the 15th of December. If things are going as planned, as per the impression you're trying to create, what do you imagine to be the issue there?
It's lack of information. They should have just picked up the phone and called to say what is happening. We would have been able to tell them what is happening. Because as she said, that it's not clear. When you're not clear, ask for the clarification, you will get it. It's as simple as that, really. As opposed to you having to issue a media statement, going on media, saying things that you're not fully informed about. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I don't understand why people believe that they are the champions of the school nutrition program and the department doesn't care, it must be pushed to do what it's supposed to do. That's not correct. I mean, if of all the things that are challenging the Department of Basic Education, the school nutrition program is the only thing that has been working for the past 20 or more years. So it can't be that now all of a sudden people wake up and feel that they can now advise the department and tell the department to go beyond its own scope of work, because that's what they're saying now. And I think they must just come clear and say the department must now feed learners even during school holidays. If that's what they're asking for, then they must say so, because it was never the mandate of the department to do that. There's a different department that looks after children outside school. This one is specifically called the school nutrition program because it is based in school. That's what we are experienced in doing. The infrastructure for the feeding is inside the school when schools are open. In fact, teachers are going back tomorrow. There will be an increase in the number of teachers in school, and as they go back, they will then be preparing for an even better feeding program so that learners, when they come, they get the assistance that they need. To insist that there must be feeding, who's going to do the work when the teachers are not in school?
Let's not be disingenuous. If the department was always willing to play ball, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, explain to us why this matter had to land up in court, where a court order had to essentially rule that this program must continue even when schools are closed because of the pandemic.
No, remember, during the hard lockdown, no one was allowed to move, not one person. It was only those with permits. Nothing was moving. You only needed to look at the roads to see what's happening there. So schools were completely closed. So no one was allowed to go anywhere. So to force the department to feed at that time was unreasonable, because the president had said no movement at all, stay in your house.
But Elijah, are you saying that are you saying that you couldn't secure permits for people who provide the only meal that some people receive in the country during that time? Surely that counts as essential work. And we also know that during that period, people involved in essential services were in fact allowed to get permits.
Yeah, I'm battling to hear you, but I'll try to respond based on what I'm hearing. During the hard lockdown, we were not able to do anything. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the department had never before administered the school nutrition outside the school. So you were challenging the department to do something that it had not done before. And the department is large. It's got 12 million children. 9.6 million of those children are beneficiaries of the school nutrition program. So for you to feed, you were going to create a gathering which was outlawed at that time because it was going to increase the spread of the coronavirus. So we needed to be mindful of that. So you can't just behave as though things are equal and that things are normal. It's not. We are still during the pandemic, which has killed a lot of people. So I mean, I did not hear her say anything. She did not make mention of COVID-19 in her entire conversation, at least what I listened to. So we must therefore not create that impression that, okay, things are fine, the department is just failing. It is incorrect. In everything that we do right now, we place safety first. And remember, in every instance, it was always the department insisting that schools must open. Yeah. Even last year, against a huge wave of opposition, it was the department that said schools must open because we knew that when schools are open, we are going to be able to feed the children. Even now, we were ready to open schools on Monday last week on the 25th, and for children to go back on the 27th of January. It was not us who decided to postpone that. It was cabinet based on research that schools need to delay by a few weeks before we can reopen. So we were always ready to open schools. That's why I'm saying an impression must not be created that the department does not want to feed. It's wrong.
Elijah
the department wants to feed.
Thanks very much.
That's why we are happy that schools are opening tomorrow.
Your point is well made and well taken. Thanks very much. Sadly, that's all the time we have. And that's why it's important to get a right of reply so that you can also give us perspective from where you're seated. Elijah Mhlanga speaks for the Basic Education Department. Sir, thanks very much indeed for your time.